Yeah. So, yeah, we probably got to fix the lighting. But good morning, people. Good
Good
morning.
morning, good morning,
We're
good
just
morning.
testing the lover and the giver right now. We're testing to see the program basically. Lisa Santiago, y'all about to go on in about 30 minutes. So, oh, okay, good job. Tracy's on here. Tracy is a very inspirational.
Person.
Yeah, he's an inspirational person. He's always talking about like he wakes up in the morning, and the first post that he talks about is how God is amazing. Um, within his life, and what God has done for him, and how God has restored him, and how to basically restore from something that's happened in your life through drawing unto God. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's his motivation. He's a motivational speaker. He does music. He has a clothing line.
Cool.
So he has a lot going on. I'm trying to get him to be a part of Six Steps to Success from a Godly Perspective male panel to
Mm-hmm.
wear the panel period because you want to involve
I'm going to
both
be co-ed
parties.
this time.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
going
so
to be
we're gonna do
co-ed.
it. We're gonna do it co-ed, and I think I got my 3 males, so we're looking for some more, some females. But
Yes.
anyway, we want to talk this morning basically about father figures and
Father's Day coming up.
yeah, Father's Day coming up, and as you know, we celebrated Mother's Day a few weeks ago, or maybe a
A
month
month ago.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrated Mother's Day at a conversation piece for what was that, second Sunday of the month. We do the second and fourth Sunday,
Second
so it
Sunday,
had to
so
be
Mother's Day
second.
fell on the second Sunday.
Okay, well this is the third Sunday, so we wasn't able to do it at conversation piece. So we went out and talked to Kaya's because Kaya's is a brand new restaurant, and a lot of people have been talking about it, and Judy's close to the chef and knows the chef really well.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up to him and we talked to him about throwing an event at Kaya's to celebrate Father's Day, and they were open to it. So we'll be at Kaya's Sunday celebrating Father's Day. It's a free event, with a lot of headbangers, a lot of people representing Charlotte, JC the Poet, Alicia Valentino Escobar.
Escobar.
Yeah,
Yes, of QC Collective.
yeah, QC Collectives. We got comedian Hugh Baby
Mm-hmm.
under Y Square Management. Well, I think they changed the name, but Yolanda and Tony X Belza. Um, we have a lot going on and a few surprise gospel singers. So you don't want to miss it. DJ 300 on the ones and twos. So we just wanted to basically celebrate fathers because we feel that fathers don't get enough credit.
They don't. Let's just be real.
For
They
being.
don't. Now, when it's Mother's Day, the restaurants are full, churches are full because everybody want to go to church with mama, and retail businesses do a boom job on cards and candy and flowers and, all of that. But Father's Day, how many times you see a restaurant talking about, we only have standing room only, it's Father's Day. It doesn't happen. And it's been like that since I was a kid, But you and I both had really great dads. And I used to always feel really upset about that. I was like, my dad works just as much as my mom, But my dad was kind of simple, so he didn't really like to go out. But we would always bring him cards. We would always, give him hugs. He couldn't do anything on Father's Day. He couldn't cook. He couldn't clean. There was nothing. His money was no good. We always did that kind of stuff for fathers on Father's Day.
With my dad, I'd be like, Daddy, what you want? Nothing. Daddy, what you want? Come on, and I'd aggravate him so much. Me and Mama aggravate him so much. He'd be like,
My dad.
just bring me some cigarettes. That's all. A pack
Oh
of
my
cigarettes.
goodness.
I'd be like, Daddy, I'm not buying you no doggone cigarettes. What do you want for Father's Day? But I end up buying them a pack of cigarettes, or Mama might go out and get something to eat, you know, and
Hey,
eat at
Lynn, I
the
see some
table.
people signing in on me. You got a big old crowd in my phone. I'm like, okay, nobody want to watch me on
Yeah,
Facebook
nobody's
Live.
watching me, but you
Yes,
know,
they
we
are.
just
Yes, they are. But yeah, my father used to say, he said, Daddy, what you want for Father's Day? My two front teeth. I'm like, okay. My 2 cents, my cents. I'm like, Dad, come on, be serious. That must be a thing with dads, the joke when you ask them what they want. But we think it's important to honor fathers. Um, you know, we already know we've got a lot of single mom homes, but there are single dads out there that are doing a great job. When we did our single parent forum, remember we had some great single dads on the panel as well as in the audience.
hmm
And so it's important, especially our single parents, I think, that they get some recognition, that they get support and encouragement. But just dads, period, because we just like, oh, they in front of the television with some sports, they're good. No, they may not be good. They may really, Mary's watching. Good morning, Lynn. Um, they may really need to feel that they're what? Noticed,
yeah,
important,
yeah. They
appreciated.
just
That's the word I
they're
was
not
looking
at a
for.
point to express it.
Appreciated.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, think of it like you always say. Traditionally, it's not really accepted for men to be as vocal about what they need, because then they're considered what? Which I hate. Don't consider, a woman isn't
gay.
weaker, but
What they're
yeah, one or the
considered
other,
gay.
gay, or you're a woman,
Yeah,
or you little girl, you whining. But men have needs too. And, silence, we always say squeaky wheel gets the oil. Silence gets nothing. If we don't know what you need, then how can we even help you? So, but I just wanted to do that. I wanted to honor fathers, And I'm going to tell the things. I just finished telling him something I used to do, and he said, put it on Facebook Live. But when my father passed away, which is going on more than 20 years now, I was devastated. I was a daddy's girl, big time. And I used to just mourn Father's Day. It was like, oh, my daddy's not here. I'm not getting him a card. I'm not. So what I decided to do and I started to do was I would buy a card, and if I either saw a man on the street with his family, or if I knew of a gentleman, because I had some friends that were good dads, single dads, and even in marriage, I would give them a card. And like a $5 thing to Dunkin' Donuts or, coffee or something like that. I would just say, I just want you to know that somebody sees your effort and appreciates it because my dad is not here. And I did that for years. So I did that for years. And it always made me feel good. I'm the kind of person, I'm yelling out the window at couples with their kids, Happy Father's Day, keep doing what you're doing. Because when your father leaves, if you've had a great dad, um, oh, he said a closed mouth doesn't get fed. That's true. You need to open up and say what is important. But if you've had a good dad, one, we want to hear from you. Two, you gotta give back. And if they're no longer here with us, pay it forward. Pay it forward to another guy that may need
hmm
it in his life. He may not get that encouragement. He may not get that love, especially if it's a single dad. We know our single parents go through. So if you see a single dad picking up his kids and doing what he's got to do and being not just about money, but being in their life, that's important. That's way important. Um, so we just wanted to come on here and talk about our dads and see if you wanted to talk about your dads and just reminisce about some good things. And even if you didn't have a good dad figure, I never forgot one time my brother, who's another great dad figure, um, and he was preaching at that time, and I never forgot this. He preached on Father's Day, and he preached about our father, of course, how a great example he was and all that sort of thing. But he ended it by saying, I know there's some men in this audience who didn't have a good example. And I know that you didn't have a dad in your life. And he says, and I want to give a hug to every one of those men who didn't feel that they got a good father.
But you know
If I
what
tell
though?
you something, let me finish. The line was out the door of the church, of the men who felt like I didn't have a good dad. My dad, or if they weren't there, they weren't loving to them. And the tears, I mean, the whole church just changed when my brothers set up this line, and they sat there and prayed and hugged and just cared about some dudes who were like, these are grown people now. These aren't little kids. These are grown men saying, I needed that love and didn't get it from my father. Thank you for at least trying to let me know that I'm loved. I mean, these dudes were crying. And that thing never left me. It was some years ago that he did that. I don't know if he does it every year. But that thing, I couldn't imagine that there were so many men who needed to feel like they're loved. I just couldn't imagine that. And I was like, wow. I mean, out the door people, they had to open the church door and people were standing out there. And my brother took the time and they took the anointing on and just literally loved on these brothers. And we're talking white, black, everything. It's just amazing that men don't feel appreciated.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to talk about that as far as father figures or whatever. I think a lot of times men feel threatened and intimidated about certain things. What we got to realize is being a father is never competitive. Being a father figure, a lot of times, it might not be your biological father. It could be your best friend's father who has an impact in your life. You know, it could be your uncle. It could be, you know, it could be your cousin, your big cousin. It could be your big brother. But the thing is that what people don't realize is that what's not there, God has a way of replacing what's not there. So therefore, you might not have had a father, a biological father, but you had a next door neighbor, a next door neighbor, or plenty of next door
Or a
neighbors,
teacher, yeah.
or a teacher that replaced your father, you know, and had much of an impact within your life than your father would have. You know, because God might have been like, this wasn't the man to be in your life. From what you're dealing with, he might have created you, might have spermed you or whatever, but basically I'm sorry if it's a show like when I say basically, but you know, but you know,
It's your
with
favorite word.
yeah, with that being said, like, you know, he wasn't ready to be a father. You know, he did that on his own. So what I'm going to do, he wasn't ready. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace that with somebody who I feel is ready to be an impact and an influence and a support within your life. So, you know, we got to look at the spiritual side of it. Within the natural, you'll always be frustrated without being a father figure. I think the reason why my daddy passed is because God felt that I was ready. I told you yesterday how I always call on daddy whenever I have a need or whenever I have an issue with something. I always call on daddy. But God says no. God says you're going to call on me now. So, and a lot of times God will do that. He'll be like, no, you're the type of person that needs me before you need your biological.
And you know what? I wanted to read what Lynn wrote because I do know Lynn from way back. She says, believe me, this being the second Father's Day without my dad, it isn't easy. Judy, you knew my pop and knew I was a daddy's girl. This is truly a hard time. And there are those who have just recently, it's not even, it's not long that she lost her dad. And so these times are hard, and we get it. I completely get it. It was a long time after my father. Like I said, I had to find a way to deal with the grief, and my way was to give back to other fathers, to sow into other fathers' lives, because that was a way of knowing that my dad was being honored. It was a way for me to be able to think about my dad. I just had to create something, some way to not let him just completely be gone. But I wanted to talk about what you were just saying. You know, God is our Father, and sometimes that's hard if you didn't have a good one. But when you had a good one, it makes you understand how much more of a good father. You know, what's that song? He's a good, good God. How much more of a good father we have in heaven, and who would not even who would do better than our earthly fathers. But it's hard if you didn't have a good father figure to then see God as a father. I once had a friend, and she said, if God is a man, all the men in my life, you know, it was that kind of scenario. And I said, you know what? This is why you do need to get to know God, because you need to see a difference. You need to see someone doing something different. And even though he's not here in the natural, he's more powerful than any natural man could be. And so, you know, I think it is important when we see good dads to encourage them, because they're doing like their Father in heaven. And that role is very important. So, you know, again and again, it's about encouraging. It's about lifting up our men. Jennifer's on here now. I see her. Good morning, Jen. Jen knows I'm big on lifting up men. After having a great dad, having a fantastic brother, and then going out and hearing other women just be miserable about their fathers and miserable about all the men in their lives and wanting to do something different, I had created something called the Lazarus Project. And the Lazarus Project is pretty much what I'm doing. It's just about whenever I see a man, I sow into their life. Whenever I see a brother, you in the pillow, I sow into them. I encourage them, because basically, you know, there are a lot of men walking around. What's that movie used to be called? Dead Men Walking? There are a lot of dead men walking. They're working. They're out driving up and down, but they're dead. They're dead on the inside. And, you know, their dreams are not fulfilled. They've given up their dreams just to work to make sure there's food on the table. And their children are clothed. There are a lot of men working. You know, we were in a Chinese restaurant yesterday, Andrew and I, and this man came in. And it was the cutest thing. The little girl, she couldn't have been more than 5. She says, "What is this? How many jobs do you have?" She was talking to her father. And she's like, 2 jobs? 3 jobs? And he had the 3 little girls in tow. And I was thinking, where's mommy with these 3 little girls? And one was a little teeny baby. He had her in arms. But the 5-year-old was like, how many jobs do you have, Dad? You know, 2 or 3 jobs. What's going on here?
A lot of them work just to get that stress.
Yeah, well, that's men.
And to avoid
a lot of the unmet needs, or the unmet, the lack of communication. A man, I will always say that. If I see a man working too hard, he's not talking and communicating. Yeah. Because there's a difference between hustling and grinding, which, I mean, a man wants to do, and burying yourself in work. Mm-hmm. And so anytime I see a man, you don't have time for anything, That's a dysfunctional situation. That's a man who's feeling frustrated, and the only thing he can do is focus on work. I mean, like I said, I've been around enough men. I had men cousins. I had a bunch of guys that I grew up with on the block. I watched men. And first of all, I'm going to be real. Men were easier to figure out than the girls. Women were complicated, I know. But the men, I was like, okay, they pretty much, like I tell people, I raised 2 boys. They get up in the morning, "Mommy, I'm hungry." Okay. "Can I watch TV?" "Yeah, sure." Girls get up, they're like, "I don't know, I feel sad this morning." I'm like, "Can I give you some oatmeal?" "No, I'm not sure I want to eat. I don't have an appetite." And you're like, okay, we got to have a little therapy session before we can have breakfast. But that's just a little joke that I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, pour into the men in your life. If you see a man working hard, if you see a man showing up, we've got so many who have disconnected themselves from family, from, the ideas of marriage. They're just, how many women can I sleep with, and What am I doing Friday night? And how drunk am I going to get? We've got so many that are disconnected. So when you see somebody doing it right, I mean, it's like how they say heaven leaves the 99 and goes rejoicing. And when they get the one, when I see one doing right, I'm like, oh my God, let's put a crown on his head. Here's a king, and let's celebrate them.
But not only that, but if you know a father that's doing wrong, try to find some type of way to
To
inspire him
inspire him.
and try to set an example and be an
Yes.
example to that person who, might have some type of negative impact within their children's life. And, what you got to realize is that, just because, like I could tell you, I got a cousin and the mother is on your page, so she's not going to basically get offended on my page or whatever. But I got a cousin who basically is a male, and his father wasn't in his life for a long period of time. And what happened is, after a long period of time, the mother, after they grew up, the kids grew up, the mother remarried the father. But what it taught him throughout the father not being within their life, within, their mother's kid's life, is that how he could be responsible and a great dad himself. And he is a great dad, a great family man. He's always involving his kids in anything that he does, especially the son. The son is a top-notch athlete. He's always at his track meetings, always at his games, just running around, playing around with them. And, so a lot of times when a father ain't playing a role in, the child's life, the child still grows up to learn to be a great dad. And there's so many stories behind that
We just had one last
because
night.
they know basically what's missing. What do we have?
DeCarlo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to put people's business out there, but I went to a friend's house to watch the game, and her grandson was there, and that's about all I'll say. But he began to talk about how the music of today was not good. He was not into it. He said, I wanted to make music.
18 years old.
Thank you. 18 years old that was, was uplifting. Then he was talking about discipline. Now, I don't know if an 18-year-old, my 18-year-olds didn't talk about discipline. He was talking about when I have children, they're going to have a schedule.
Yeah.
They're going to know when it's time to go to bed. They're going to be disciplined. Now, I can tell you, I've known this family for 7 years. I have never seen DeCarlo's father. I don't know if he's here in North Carolina. I know the mother struggles with working and different things. She has 3 children that she's raising on her own. So, God is just merciful because this young man, the last thing I thought I would hear was to hear him say what he said. I'm thinking this dude's running the street, ain't no, don't know supervision, don't want any supervision.
Smoking weed. He done told J.L. Smith to quit smoking so much. No, Shepard. Shepard shot a 3. So
Yes,
you need to quit smoking so much weed, yo.
And I'm thinking this is an 18-year-old that the world loves to pick up, chew, and spit out. And he is like, no, I'm not going that way. So we pray and praise, pray and praise young men who, before they even start the family, whether they had a father figure or not, are making the decision to be good dads, to be good role models for their children. And because they saw maybe what they didn't get and said, I'm going to do something different.
I'm going to do something different.
Do something different. So we're just trying to be on here today just to encourage people. If there are any fathers listening, we love you. We're encouraging you to keep going. Your efforts are not in vain. God sees you. We see you. And come out with us on Sunday so we can celebrate you.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate the fathers. With me being a father, I will never be threatened by another father, basically, or by another man, because we all within society, of course, need help raising these children.
Amen.
And especially the way the world works today. If you look at it, just like Trino, book called book was Trino had his song "Pray to God" yesterday, and I was strolling through Facebook, laying down with book, and I was strolling, and Trino came up, and it was his "Pray to God" anthem. It's "Pray to God" his first single, and so Book started going crazy over the song, just getting excited. So then he was like, "Let me look at the video. Let me look at the video." So he looked at the video, and he started singing, the song to the video. And I had to call Trino in order to see, in order to inspire him that these kids, basically, that his bloodline, is very enthused about his song and very excited about his song "Pray to God," knows it word for word and everything, just visualizing that video. So hopefully that was an inspiration to him, even though he told Book he was going to knock him out if he act like he ain't know him no more. But like, we need to basically, like she said, we need to start going against society, going against Satan, and inspiring these men and smiling at these men a lot more. You never know. Men work so many jobs sometimes to basically get off of the reality to when they die. And then when they stop working after working so many jobs, they die. If you really look at it, a woman can retire and be after 20 years or whatever, and still be straight afterwards. But a man, when he quits working and things like that, he just passes away.
Some of them really
off.
do pass away.
Yeah, they pass off, and that's what happened to my daddy. And like I said yesterday, I wish that one thing that I wish is that I would have been a better. I would have talked to him a lot differently if I would have sat back and thought on how much depressed he was, how depressed he was. But I looked at it as play and not take it as serious. Seriously. A lot of us men can't express their depression because it's just like people. They don't want everybody to say any type of thing. And, so they want people to basically feel that they're a certain type of way in a good way, and they're not. So we got to encourage them. I know Michelle, everybody on here has a good father figure. I know for a fact, if Charles Clark, who y'all call Charles Clark, I call him Chuck. Chuck had a great dad, a great father, and he has a great mother. He had great parents. Trino had great parents. All of us. I don't know of anybody else. I think, Kay, if I remember correctly, you did have a father in your life. I think I've met him. I think I met your father, didn't I, Kay? But anyway, we gotta start.
Yeah, we gotta change
boosting
the
up
tide.
men and change the times
and let them be able to speak. One of the first things I recognized about you was that you were a good dad.
Yeah, you can talk about it. Yeah. I think it'll be better for you to talk about it more than
our first date, if you want to call it a date, first time we met was at your birthday, and your children were there. And I observed you. I'm very good at observing people. I observed that, the way he interacted with his children. It wasn't about shooing them away. It wasn't about, Buck would come and sit on your lap. And you had this really good closeness with them, which I thought was great, where there was conversation. A lot of men have been brought up not to talk. You talk too much, or this, that, all that kind of negative thing that men have been given. I didn't see that with you. You encouraged them to speak. And so, even in our relationship, how often will I let you shut down? I will not. I'll be like, keep talking. We're going to work this out. And so what I'm saying all of that to say is, when I met him, I saw him as a good dad, encouraging his son to be whole, not just be manly, just to be whole. If you feel like you're upset, let's talk about why you're upset.
And he's
or
starting to do that a lot better. I see
he's
that
getting
he's
better.
getting better. Yeah, he
He really
might
is.
throw a temper tantrum, and then after you throw a temper tantrum, when he calms down, he'll start
Yeah,
talking
but
and
he's
expressing
not even
himself.
doing that anymore. And I know one thing that I had said to him. I would tell him. Remember back I used to tell him to breathe, breathe, because if you hold your breath sometimes, that doesn't let anything out. I said breathe. Then you have to be able to talk through the problem, not just say there's a problem or we can see there's a problem. You got to be able to talk the problem out. And then I also would tell him, look, there's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me not love you. There's
Mm.
nothing Craig can really tell me, you know, in our lives, in our daily lives, that would make me stop loving him. That's the love of God. Because God said there's nothing that can separate you from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus. That's the same love we need to exemplify to each other. Sometimes it's very hard, but it's a trust factor. It's a trust thing, knowing, okay, I can be vulnerable. I can be, scared. I can be, not sure. Sometimes we want men to be perfect, but they're human just like us. And so therefore, if they're scared, if they're feeling unsure, they got doubt, they should be able to show that without you questioning their manhood.
Yeah,
That's
man.
actually
Yeah,
part of their manhood.
yeah.
To me, I say you want this strong, stoic, quiet man, and then you're going to turn around and say he's emotionally unavailable. Well, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. So even as in our dating, I looked at the way you interacted as a father. Then I looked at the way you interacted with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, that's a family-oriented man. Literally from the first time I met him. I was like, that's a family-oriented man. This is not a man talking about, how fast can I get out of here because I'm sick of these people. It was all about, this is my family day. You introduced me to 50 million cousins, or this person you grew up with on the street back in the day. I was like, okay, this man is very loyal. This man is family-oriented. And that was very attractive. Because, again, the kind of dad I had, I wanted to
And
see that.
that's funny. I can speak that. That's funny. That speaks upon picking up basically where your parents left off, or being different from how your parents were. If you know, you can like on the comment, you can pin a comment. Here it goes. You can
You don't
pin
have to
one
pay.
if you want
Okay.
to.
I'm just liking when
But this
people
is,
come in. I
yeah,
like what
this
they
is the
come in.
point. But my parents weren't very. I think my mother was more family oriented. I probably got that from my mother's side as far as family oriented or whatever. But she was only close to like her two cousins on her mother's side, and that's because they went to Claflin College. And
They shared
her
that, yeah.
brothers and sisters, and her two older cousins influenced her. Was an influence on her going to Claflin University, Orangeburg, South Carolina, to plug in. She deleted me because I always talk trash about you college people. But
You're so crazy.
she like two of her older cousins went to Claflin, and so when she graduated, her two younger brothers picked up and went to Claflin behind her, Claflin University. But she was family oriented to her brothers and sisters
Sisters.
and her two cousins. And her mother. I was scared of the daddy, but daddy's family. Like they would see each other on holidays, on every holiday or something like that. But unless it was a holiday, they really didn't talk too much besides daddy talking to his baby brother. But they really didn't talk outside of holidays and things like that.
Holidays.
So I picked up on both sides. I said, when I got old enough, I'm going to see daddy's mother, and Pat knows this as well. I'm going to see my grandmother as much as possible, as long as I'm able to drive and as long as I'm able to come up, because I really didn't get to see any side. And I talk about that all the time. Me growing up in Charlotte, I really didn't get to see my family as much, and Trino knows. Like even when we were little kids, I called him. How often would I call you, Trino? Like once a month or something like that. I call and check on y'all to see what you and E Dub was doing and Mickey were doing. But I tried to basically make a difference within what I saw out of my parents with my family. So when people see me hugged up with Buck and say I'm not a man because I give Buck hugs and kisses and stuff like that, like I just can't stop like giving him a kiss, whatever. And that's because I never got that type of affection, from my parenting,
But you
because
know what?
daddy grew up probably thinking, and this is nothing negative about daddy. A lot of times we go off of what we feel is best for our children. It's not that we're bad parents, or even till this day, what I feel might be best for Buck and the girls as well might not be best when they're around me.
But you do the best you
You
can.
do the best you can. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is he might have felt that he probably wasn't raised to be as affectionate. So I didn't get that type of affection. Mama wasn't affectionate at all either. So I showed that affection towards all three of them, not just Buck,
But you know
but I
what?
show my affection towards all three of them because sometimes that's the need, and I think society has picked up and told a man that he can't be as affectionate around his son, or it's a certain age to stop it. How do you know that son might not need it at a later age?
It's okay. We'll call her later. My parents weren't overly affectionate. It may have been the times. There was a generation where a lot of that was just like, you're out early, you're learning how to work, and so affection and that extra thing wasn't part of the landscape for that generation. Our generation is more in tune with our mental health, our emotional health. We're much more in tune with that. But you also have to look at your child. Buck is an affectionate child. It would be almost cruel to tell him that he can't get a hug and kiss. Bunny is less so. And I went
Mm-hmm.
through that with my children. Andrew, very, very not touchy feely at all. I mean, if I get a hug, it's not just on autism. Just I think his personality. He's not a very touchy feely person. Oh my goodness, Rosa was completely different. If Jennifer's still on here, she can tell. That boy was up underneath me. My friends used to say, "Oh, your mother goddess," because it was like he would not let go of me. So he had to be given more affection. He had to be given more communication and talk time. And my thing is, we have to meet our children where they are. And you're a good dad, and that you see he needs it, give it to him. As opposed to saying, "Oh, you're not manly, you're not going to be a man, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're a sissy." We need to stop that nonsense anyway. But that was from a generation in the past where they weren't as much in tune with our emotional health. I think nowadays we're a little bit better. We understand. Go ahead and let that young child get that emotion, that emotional support, that communication. And, Bunny's a little bit different. She's not that affectionate. Though she likes to be near you and spend time and
Mm-hmm.
do different things, she's not that physical
Mm-hmm.
affection. But that's just knowing, and see, that's you just knowing my son needs this. I didn't get it. I used to say the same thing. I said, I'm going to hug my kids and kiss my kids. My mother used to say when my babies were born, they're going to drag their feet on the ground. They're sitting on your lap and up underneath you. Well, I grew up a little bit too without a lot of physical. I knew my parents were there for me, but it wasn't a lot of physical touching. And so, yeah, I don't know if I overcompensated or either, but I just made sure that if they felt they wanted a hug, they could get it.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew enough and were safe enough to ask for it. Not like, oh, I can't ask my mother for a doggone hug. No. I mean, the 21-year-old now in California just texted me last night, "Mom, are you awake? Can we talk?" That's what you want to develop. I wanted to develop that. You're developing that. That's important. But we getting into parenting and every other thing. But
But that's a part of being a father, though,
being a father.
because a lot of fathers don't show as much affection to their kids
Yes.
because of what? Because of society. You
And
know,
maybe the way they were raised. And
yeah,
the men in our family are hard. And I'm like, I hear some things and I'm like, huh?
yeah. You
Okay,
gotta,
really?
yeah. So you
But
gotta break that generational curse.
curse. Hmm.
You gotta,
Because what you do is you're creating these emotionally starved children. And
mhm.
that's why they go out there and seek that emotion from people, their peers, their friends, the boyfriend, girlfriend thing, real fast because they don't feel that sense of belonging and unity. And we need fathers, we need the men to create that as well as women.
Yeah.
You know, men and women create that sense of unity differently, and both are important.
And please, women, if anything,
What you saying about us
please,
women?
no, I'm
Go
just
ahead, go
saying,
ahead.
you know, I'm
I
gonna
just
say
want to hear what
something.
you gotta say.
Yeah, you cut me off like, oh yeah, I'm ready for you now. What you got to say about us women? But please, on Father's Day, please, if anything,
Oh, that's a touchy subject. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, it's real touchy
Go
because I
ahead.
see it a lot every Father's Day. It's like, don't take the place of a man. Just find a man that basically
That you can sew into.
that you can sew into.
Yeah,
You know, you might have a boyfriend, you might have a best male friend figure, you know, but
and we need those ladies.
and you need
We
those,
need those.
you know, to have an impact. Like even if your best friend, let's say your best male friend, is going to a basketball game or he's
We
having
can
a
sit up. I feel like we're about to lay down.
pickup or just bedroom talk, but
Okay.
this is
Okay.
like just doing some type of outing, like having some type of outing. Ask, can your kids come along? You know, and join him. You know, don't take away from the fathers. You know, and I understand a lot of fathers aren't. You know, a lot of fathers, you don't have a lot of men, but find some man that's really there for their children or really loves children, and let your children spend time with them. You know, because men need that type of
They need to be
love.
connected. Yeah, they
They
need to
need
be
that type of
reconnected.
connection.
I'm tired of it being that it's just women representing family.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're gonna put on social media, guaranteed that, and they're
I'm
gonna
gonna
put
see
it
one
up on
person do it.
Facebook.
Yeah,
You're gonna see one person that say "Happy Father's Day" to me,
yeah.
or you might
I'm mommy
see,
and daddy,
yeah,
so
I'm mama and daddy.
you know,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, you're not. And I understand the spirit in which it's done. If you're a single parent, I raised my children as a single parent, and if you have the partner or the biological person is not involved, you do feel as if, oh my goodness, I'm out here all by myself. I'm out here doing this by myself. You feel that way. But you are not. You're being the best doggone mommy, as I used to say. I'm going to be the best, and I'm a cuss. I'm going to be the best damn single mother. That's what I used to tell myself. I'm going to be the best damn single mother out here.
no shit. I mean, that's
Okay,
the
I used to say
reality.
it
Shit.
because I wasn't raised with a single parent. I did not know how to be a single parent, but I knew I was going to master it because two lives depended on me. The thing that when I hear people say I'm mommy and daddy, no, you're just being the best mom you can be, and there's nothing wrong with taking that role and running with it. But we're not men. And I think when we try to make ourselves to be like a man, we do a disservice, first of all, to the men that we may know, and also to any male children that we have.
Yeah,
We do a disservice to them
and
because
you're
they're,
teaching your kids, you know, to
so I won't say might have been a time when I would have said, oh, happy Father's Day to me. I probably did way back in the beginning. But, having a good dad and having a good brother, I was like, you know what? I'm not them. I'm not them. When I saw a good man, I was like, that's a man. Men do certain things, women do certain things. It's okay to be different. The point of the matter is that one is not better than the other. They're both needed. They're both needed in the life of a child. And like you were saying, if you cannot find, you ought to have some men in your life. Women, I'm going to say this. If the person doesn't turn into be a love interest in your life, don't just necessarily dismiss them. You know, create that friend zone where they understand you are now a family friend. I have a lot of family friends that were people who thought they wanted to pursue me, and they didn't really, either we didn't connect in a certain way, or, you know, they didn't move while he did. So,
Well, that's hard with a man. I'm gonna tell you right now,
I
because
don't care too
you know
bad.
that comes within a length of time. But
And I'm
I
like,
think
but
I
the thing of
think
it is
not
you
only
don't let
that.
them go. You don't. People, stop throwing away people. Okay, I'm gonna get on that subject. Stop throwing people away. Stop it. You meet somebody, you don't know what God has for you to be in that person's life. You don't know. So the point of the matter is that if I make a friend, first of all, everybody starts off as friends. I may be attracted to you, but you're a friend. I got to get to know
Well,
you.
you gotta cut the sex out,
Well, that's
and
another
you
thing
gotta
too.
cut.
You got
Yeah,
to cut some of that
that's
flirting out too, because y'all be flirting and never getting to a deeper level of who this person really is in your life.
yeah. I think
So you know that's on a whole nother subject.
yeah, but
But
you
the
gotta
thing of it is that
cut the sex out.
it shouldn't be
Don't have
that as a
sex with
woman
somebody that
you only know the
you don't want
dude
to
that
be a
you're
part
dating.
of.
You don't know no other dudes. You don't know have no other friends. You have no other father figures for your children, especially if you have a young male child. You don't have no support whatsoever. That to me is a woman who is I don't know what's a good word.
Bitter, hateful.
No, I don't
No.
want to talk about emotions. You're shortchanging yourself.
Yeah, shortchanging
You're
your blessings.
shortchanging yourself. Not every man has to be a relationship. There are supposed to be some uncles, supposed to be some cousins and bros in your life to create. Why are you going to put it from? I can see all up my nose. We're going to sit up because that looks ridiculous. But what I'm trying to
This
say
is
is,
bedroom
I
talk.
don't care what it is.
This is bed.
I at
Listen,
least have to look halfway
no,
decent.
but
You see why I'm
but
at the
this
gym
is the
with the two,
point.
three chins.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying
but
is,
this is the point though.
just
Bedroom talk.
it's got to be
Bedroom talk is what
that.
we talk about in the
I don't
bedroom
care if
that
we in the
we put
bedroom. You
and
cut me
you
off.
know. Go
Listen,
ahead.
ladies, it takes a village to raise that child, and you need some men in your village.
That's what I just
All I'm
said, though,
saying.
sugar. That's what
That's all I'm saying.
I just said that. You know, us as men, we as men need as much help as possible, whether we say we can do it on our own or whatever. People say, women said, I can handle stuff on my own.
You know what? I
I
rebuke
don't
that
need
in
nobody.
Jesus' name.
But
Nobody can do everything on their own. One of the first things I did as a single parent was to create a network of men and women who could be there for my sons. One of the first things, ask Jennifer, ask Lynn, was the network of families, friends. Some of them could be relatives, some of them weren't relatives, neighbors, teachers. I mean, it was a family affair. All of y'all became part of the success team of my children, and that's why they're successful. I sure
hmm
didn't cut myself off. And if a man offered to do something, cut hair, you know how many little barbers we had? Because my children did not like to go out. They didn't like to be in public places. Andrew didn't do well in public places when he was young. They didn't. The first time this boy went out to get his hair cut at a barber shop, he was in his 20s. I had the brothers who were like, we can come and Miss Judy would come and cut the hair, $10 a head. And I used to give them more because you just drove to my house, wherever it was, to be in the comfort of my house so that my children could get their hair cut without there being meltdowns or issues or running, where's Russell, blah, 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 blah. They did that for their whole entire lives. And I wasn't involved with any of those men. You know, I told him the other day, the last barber we had, when he got the woman that turned into his wife, she showed up with him with the barber. She was like, oh no, you going over some woman's house and cut whose hair? Oh no, I'm coming. I said, come on in here. What you want to eat? What you want to drink? You part of the family now. It's important to keep family. Create that family of choice if you haven't had a family. I say that every single day.
well, Shonda Pettis is going in. You know, she's going in on it, but she basically was saying that you know, well, I've been loving my sons for years. I can't help who didn't want to participate
Uh-huh.
in their upbringing. I just kept it I just kept them in church and let the brothers in the church help me.
Amen.
Okay.
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
that's important. Go ahead and
like that. Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
It's important if you're part of a church. But I mean, I went everywhere. I did Boy Scouts, junior firefighters. I did 4-H. I didn't care where the help came from because I needed them to see both men and women. I needed them to see it. I did summer camps. I did school projects. Anything I could to involve men in my children's lives, I did it because it was important, especially because they were on the spectrum. Whoops. And they needed that extra support. And it's not all about therapy, people. Sometimes it's just about them modeling good people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sometimes it's just about that. We spend millions on therapy and think that all this social, what do they used to tell me? Oh, well, they need social skills. Okay, let's take them to a picnic. There's some social skills for you. Let's take them to a church outing. Let's take them to a junior firefighter they used to do contests where they had to compete against other firehouses. That's social skills. You're going to learn some doggone social skills. Me sitting in an office with one person talking about this is what you should say when you're in this situation, just put them in the situation. But, the point of the matter is no, you cannot help who didn't stay. You cannot help who didn't get involved. The father of my children was not involved. I would say by the time they were 3, 4, he was gone. And that's Andrew. He really wasn't much there for Russell at all. But that didn't stop me. That didn't stop me. I was like, you know what? I had a good dad. They probably know more of their grandfather even though they never met him. I would talk about their grandfather, something terrible. You know what your grandfather used to say? Oh, you sound just like your grandfather. Oh, your grandfather used to act like that. I found somebody to give them a positive feeling about themselves. I found somebody, and that's what we need to do.
And that's what you do. That's what you do if you don't have a biological father, or you don't have, a man within your life. Find a man. Find somebody that could be a great influence.
Could be a pastor, Pastor Lofton. Oh my goodness! If he's not a father figure, we had to go and make him our spiritual parents because he was such a great father figure in our lives. And so you're never too old for a father figure.
Yeah.
You're never too old. We grown, and we were like, Pastor Lofton, please.
Yeah, be our spiritual father.
Be our spiritual father.
Just look to that. And one thing about it is I had to feel, and this is something for Pastor Lofton, because, it's hard for a child who had their father within their life and their mother within their lives to replace or to feel that, they can, that your mother or your father can be replaced. It's hard to call somebody else father, or hard to call somebody else daddy or something like that. But the reality is that God placed them, the Lofton family, within our lives for accountability. So daddy's not here no more. Yeah. Daddy's not here anymore, but I have a spiritual connection for you. Not in the natural. Your natural is not here, but I have a spiritual connection for you. And this man was, willing and openly, because a lot of churches don't deal with single, saved, and serious because they might feel threatened. They might feel that, money might be involved with it, or attendees. They might lose their congregation.
Their congregation, they're worried about their members and stuff like
worried
that.
about their members.
But, Pastor Lofton, I will always give him that props. He came out and investigated us. He did. Exactly. He came out and said, listen, let me see what these people are talking about. Let me show up. That one time, I didn't even know he was there until he was leaving. Let me see how they run this organization. And then I can give my okay to my members. And I always respect him about that. He didn't judge us. He came out, he didn't dismiss us, let's put it that way. He came out and made a decision based on what he saw and watching us and listening to us over a period of time. And that was deep.
Yes.
That was deep.
So what we got to do is we got to find our way within God. We got to connect with God, and
Mm-hmm.
God will basically bring you,
Bring the right people.
bring the right
Amen.
people in
Mm-hmm.
your
In your
life
life.
in order to be great father figures or great men. So this whole week, all through Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna celebrate dads.
Dads.
I posted earlier, drop a selfie of your dad if he had a great
I
influence.
usually would change my profile pic, but I'll do something this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna continue mine, but I'm gonna continue to uplift. I'm gonna continue
Well,
to
Shonda
talk
just
about
a
it.
sharing with
Oh,
us
she
this
going
morning.
in. Oh, she going in.
She's just a sharing this morning. I can't see everything, but I'm gonna read it when I.
Shonda says, "Well,
Gosh.
because of some of my selfish decisions and wild lifestyle, put me and my kids in some pretty light and uncomfortable situations.
Mm.
So they went through a lot. Now my daddy was a awesome father
Mm-hmm.
figure. Was a let me you just went in,
Good gosh
Shonda.
Almighty, yes
But
you did.
when he passed away in
Mm.
2006, it took a toll on all my children, especially my boys, even the
Wow.
youngest one, because he was helping the to tear him because he was becoming a mama's boy, and my daddy said no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I could
I'm
talk
so
about,
sorry.
you know what I want to
No,
talk about?
first of all, we acknowledge because we've, you and
Yeah,
my friend Ronnie, we're so sorry you lost your dad. It is one of the hardest things to lose a parent, um, especially when they're involved in your children's lives. So I'm sorry you lost your dad. Ronnie's another one. She's on her first anniversary of losing her dad, and that was not. It was sudden. It wasn't expected at all. It was an accident, and she lost her dad. So all the people out here who have lost their parent, lost their fathers, and you're feeling that, my love to you, my warm thoughts, condolences again, because it takes time. It takes so much time to get over that, and I think it's important to acknowledge that grief in people. But go ahead now, whatever you were gonna.
no, because, and thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all share this if it's important to you. If you like what we're saying or love what we're saying, I hope you share this with somebody who may need it or invite people on the Facebook Live. But, when Daddy was living, Daddy and Buck had a close connection.
Mm-hmm. They were tight.
Yeah, they were real tight. They were tighter. They had a more of a connection than basically me and Buck did. Buck was closer to Daddy than he was with me. And like every Sunday, me and Sketch, we go to the Panthers tailgates and stuff like that. And I'd be like, Buck, I'm leaving. And he'll be like, okay, bye. Talk to you later. I'm with Pawpaw Brown, that type of thing. We're gonna watch the Panthers at even on a Saturday. They might be watching college football or whatever, and I'll be like, Buck, you want to come with me? They'll be laying in the bed together or whatever. I'll be like, Buck, I'm about to leave. You want to come with me?
Nope.
No, that's okay. I'm staying with Pawpaw Brown. And a lot of my family, especially my mother's side of the family, was sitting there
Sheesh.
thinking that, I wasn't being a good father and I wasn't having an influence within Buck's life because I really
Because he
didn't
was so
spend as
close.
much time with them or whatever. That was in their own heads. I don't know where they got that foolishness from,
Well,
but wait, hold on.
go
But
ahead, because I'm about to go in. Go
well,
ahead.
but I took that as far as I never really got to see my grandfathers. Never
Okay.
really got to meet my
Neither
grandfathers.
did I. Go ahead.
And what happened was, like I never met my daddy's grandfather. My daddy's dad. Never met him. He passed before me and Trino were even born. And my mother's father, of course, I used to go see him when I was 4. I think he passed away when I was 4 in 1980. But every time that I saw him when I was a baby, he used to bite me on the cheek, so I was scared of him. I was real scared of him. And so, because I never got used to anybody being that aggressive towards me and playing with me in that way. So, um, you know, I never really got to meet my grandfathers, never really got to kick it with my grandfathers. So I felt that it was more of a blessing,
Thank you.
for Buck to be for Buck to have that relationship with his grandfather that I never had with mine. So I didn't mind stepping out of the way and letting that relationship grow. And they
Yeah.
were tight. That's why Buck is so affected by the passing
Of his
of Daddy,
grandfather, yeah.
of Daddy, you know, because the things that they did, how they celebrated, how they'd have that one-on-one talk. When you talk to Buck now, you could talk about sports and everything else. He got that from Daddy.
You got that from, yeah.
Now wrestling, I don't know where he got that from now. When he going
Oh,
crazy over
no.
wrestling, I don't know where he got that from.
No, he
But
couldn't have
as
got
far
that
as
from
no,
you.
I don't know where he got that from. But as far as like football, basketball, like his passion for sports, his commentary, because Daddy never wanted him basically to play. He wanted him to. He'd go to practice, but he would never go to the games because he didn't want Buck to play football because it was so physical. But he wanted him to be a commentator. So when you see Buck just focused on commentary, as far as when he doing the YouTube and he just focused and listening to commentary on YouTube, that's why, because of Daddy. And I could never take that away. I'm not afraid to step on the side and have somebody to have just as much influence as me because I might be missing something. I might be missing
Tell me when
something
you're done.
within my life to where
Some
people
just,
can replace, to where somebody can replace what I'm missing. But go ahead.
First of all, and you know when a woman says first of all, no, I'm just going to tell you, this nonsense that I heard when they were like, oh, well, you're not being a present dad because you're leaving them with your parents so much. Why do we feel that we cannot be a part of a family? And I don't understand what that is. And, the idea that people should not, when my parents were older and sick, we moved into the house with my parents. There was no putting parents in nursing homes as much as possible. We had home health aides come out to help us, but they lived in their home until they closed their eyes, okay? And this nonsense, my children, in fact, Russell did not get to see his grandparents at all. Andrew had 4 years. Literally, that boy would eat off of their plate. Now, grandparents give to your children certain things that they wouldn't have gave to you. You know that, right? So I would fuss about, well, why did he get to eat off of the plate and sit in the bedroom? I had to sit at the table. This is my grandchild. And I mean, they were on their way to spoiling Andrew something terrible. He literally would, after a while, would only eat from my mother's hand. So, or he would sit in the living room with my dad. My dad was a very quiet person. So he would sit with my dad. How dare I feel that, I'm not being a mother because I give time for these souls to get to know their grandparents. I just don't even understand that. If they choose to have that relationship. And I'm going to tell you something that Andrew did at my father's funeral. You know the story. Andrew used to look a lot like my dad when he was really young. And he had his little suit on. And he went into the room where my father passed away and laid on that bed. And everybody was like, just leave him alone. He's missing his grandfather. And when we came back from the funeral, he laid on the bed next to me and said, I guess I'm the man of the family now. Now, where did he get that from? He sure didn't get it from me. Okay? And his father was not present at the funeral. So where did he get it? He got that from his grandfather. And he has successfully been the man of the family until Chuck. I'm going to just be real. Like you, either set of my grandparents. So by the time my dad married, he was my dad married late in life at 50. So my grandparents were already gone on that side. On the other side, my mother's side, they lived in the Caribbean, and I only got to see them. I think I got to see my grandmother right before she got very, very ill, and I didn't get to see my grandfather. So why in the world would we take those experiences and say, no, you leave them with them too much, or no, you don't? If that's where they want to be and your parents were happy with it, then everybody else needs to step and back up and sit down somewhere.
Yeah, and I agree. But,
I mean, people are
talk
entitled
about
to their
this all the
opinion,
time.
but I can't stand that business of separating family. I just can't. Give these children a chance to see another generation. They have stories. My father used to talk about the Jim Crow days, and I know that's not a great subject to talk about, but he lived in a certain era that we only see about in books. And he would talk to us about that, what it meant to be a black man in the 1940s, 50s. My dad was actually born in 1911. So good God, he saw what? He saw the Great Depression. He saw World War I and II and Korea. I mean, he saw things that you could only see on the History Channel. Why would I take that from my children? Why would I do such a thing?
I think, like I say all the
So
time,
I'm like, stop it. Stop it. We want to disconnect ourselves, and then you wonder why the black family is so disconnected. Let them see and hear from the past, from the lips of the people who lived it. And then when they're gone, keep those stories alive.
Yeah, because one thing about Buck, he'll always carry my daddy with him. Now, what if I would have took that time? What if I would have took away from all of that? Which my family always say something ignorant, and I love them, but,
I'm just going to be quiet.
I'm just saying.
I mean, because I got some ignorant folk on my side.
Yeah, so
I don't stay close to them, so I
yeah,
don't hear
so people, don't ever feel threatened or intimidated by, and especially men, don't ever feel intimidated by another man trying to basically be within that child or that person's life. Whether it's a grandfather, whether it's your dad, whatever. Let's all come together as men and unite and love each other. We're going to go ahead and
end it on that.
Let's
love each other. Support the men in your life.
Support.
Encourage them. Keep them going. If you see a man working himself to death, find out why. Because that's not natural for a man. He loves work, but it's not natural for him to work.
No, he don't love work. He just no man loves to work. I don't care what nobody says.
They like to work if it's their dream. They will work hard.
On their dream. But don't nobody be wanting to work in corporate America 10 or 11 hours.
Most of them don't like to be behind a desk.
Being behind. Exactly. And I've been expressing that for years. Thank God it came from a woman just now, a man being behind or sitting behind a desk all day.
I mean, there's some, but
not all. Just working all day. No man wants to work in wherever he's working 8 hours, then next thing go into a retail store for 4 or 5 hours, taking most of his day up. I mean, that's just reality. I could tell you what, I don't want to do it. I could care less about doing it.
What I want to do though is celebrate those men who make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because that is a sacrifice sometimes. But at the same time, my mother used to tell me, don't work a man into the ground, don't work a man to death. And I take that very seriously. If you're going to give me that sacrifice, then I definitely want to make sure that you're feeling good and whole, because I acknowledge what you're doing and what you're giving. But we're going to go ahead and end it.
Yeah, because we
Come
got
out
some
with us on
business to take
Sunday,
care of.
like breakfast. We got
We got some real good business to take care of.
You know what? I'm not even going to go there with you. I know we're in the
Excuse
bedroom.
me, man of God.
That's
I
enough
can't
of that.
believe you saying stuff like that, or you're talking like that, man of God. That got
We just come out with us Sunday, 12 to 4, Kaya's. What is it, 10901? University City Boulevard?
100901 University City Boulevard. It's free.
It's free to get in. We've got entertainment for you. The menu is good. They've even got a juice bar that's fantastic. put some good nutrients in your body, and let's just have a good time celebrating
They
our
got
fathers.
steaks. They got.
Oh my God,
They
breakfast
got,
alone is great.
yeah.
So come out after church. It's from 12 to 4.
So, LaShonda, you can put all of this stuff in here that,
I'm
this
gonna go
book,
ahead and read through what she said. She don't write
this
all
book right here.
We might have to do a
Judy Donuts.
Facebook Live just on her subject alone.
LaShonda, I want your butt to be out there.
So I'm like, she done wrote a whole bunch of
Ernest
stuff.
Keith is on here. Well, hold on.
That's
Tell.
okay. The best of marriage is undefiled. That's right. Y'all good, bro. Yeah, I know. We got to get us all to the point where we understand that we all have needs and desires, and if we're not being honest, then we're being dishonest somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what bedroom talk is all about.
Yeah.
Bedroom talk is all about what we talk about in our privacy. We're opening it up to social media.
To social media, because
and
these are
everybody.
subjects people need to talk
Yeah,
about.
people need to talk about. I remember, when mama and daddy used to be in the bed, they could argue, they could,
Did you
have
remember
a
that?
deep
I remember
debate.
my parents. You
And
would
they'll
hear all
just
of
be
this little
talking.
murmuring.
Yeah.
And I'm
Talking
like, what
back
are they
and
talking
forth.
about? Yeah, so that's what
So
we're
we
doing.
like what we talk about in privacy. We just jump on the
Jump on
subject.
the
Sometimes
subject.
let's just say we just be like, let's go on Facebook Live and do a little
And talk
together.
about that, yeah.
And then
Because I'm
Judy
sure that's
will
a
be
subject that other people are talking
like,
about.
and Judy will be like, what we gonna talk about? And then next thing you know, I have a thought, and the thought might not come up yet, but we'll just have a conversation, just a regular conversation, and we'll be like, that's what we need to put on Facebook Live. So it's not a particular time that we come on. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning,
We looking
whatever.
real sleepy.
We don't do a set time on when the Love and the Giver bedroom talk comes on. But when we're in the bed, we're socializing on social media. We're in the bed with something that we talk about within our privacy. Like she said, people need to be inspired. Things need to be heard. Things need to be talked about. Okay. So that's why bedroom talk, and y'all need to share this. I'm telling you, you need to share it. Invite. Chat. But, that's why bedroom talk is so important.
All right.
So we love y'all,
We love you,
but God loves you more.
Bye-bye.